Hello from quarantine, guys. Sorry I can't be there for the next week and a half, but we're still going to continue as usual. So if I don't have a math sub today, but going forward, hopefully I will. So today I made a quick video to show you how to do the questions, and then you can finish up the lesson and start the homework. All right. So, and you're still going to submit homework and everything as usual. So, and I'll be checking it from home. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or send me a private comment on through Google. Okay. So on the top, this is the lesson worksheet. The other one is the homework. Up here just gives you an example of how to do division by synthetic. I'll do number one with you here. So when you're dividing by x minus 4, you take x minus 4, set it equal to 0 to get the factor. That's the number that goes to the left of this big L that you make to do the synthetic division. Then on the top line here is going to be the coefficients of your polynomial. That's your dividend. So it's going to be 1, negative 11, and 28. You bring down the first, whatever it is, whether it's a 1 or something else, that always comes down. And then from there, it's a series of just multiplying. So we're going to multiply the 1 times the 4. That goes here, and then you add. So what's down here is a series of the sums when you add these two numbers together. And then what goes in this line here is a series of products. So you take the previous sum and multiply it times the root. That goes there. You add them together, and there's the sum. The last number is always your remainder. These numbers here are the coefficients of your quotient, of your result. So now since we took an x squared and divided by an x, right? So if you take an x squared and divide by an x to the first, that means that this is going to be the coefficient on an x to the first. X squared divided by x is x to the first. And then this one here would be x to the 0, but we don't write that. So the answer to this one is just 1x minus 7 or x minus 7. Okay. All right. So if the sub could pause the video now, you guys go ahead and do 2, 3, and 4. So pause that. Okay, so hopefully you tried these on your own. I'm going to go ahead and do them quickly. So you would use negative 5 as the root. You bring down the 1, and then you do a series of sums and products. And the final answer for this one should be x minus 7. Now this one has a remainder other than 0. So what you're going to do is you're going to say plus the remainder over what you were dividing by. All right, so these I'm going to just go through a little quicker. And hopefully at this point, you're just checking your answers. Okay, so this was an x to the third divided by x. So these are the coefficients, and it's going to be 2x squared. So you always drop a degree. This was a third degree. Now we're going to a second degree. And then you descend the order. This is x squared, x to the first, plus 1. And then we have a remainder of 2 over what we were dividing by. Here, my root would be 1/2. So for this one, you probably would use your calculator to help you do the sums and the products. 2 times 1/2. Oh, this works itself out nice. Okay, this was an x to the fourth, so this is going to be 2x to the third. We have 0x squared. You can either write it or not write it. plus 2x to the first minus 2 plus the remainder over what you were dividing by. Okay. All right, and the next section is just reminding you that if you're ever missing a term in your dividend, that you need to put a placeholder in there. So this example kind of goes through that if I have x to the a to the third, but no a squared term and no a term, that you would have to put placeholders of zeros in there. So for number 5, I do have that situation. I have a to the fourth, but I have nothing in between. So what we do here is we would have 1 a to the fourth, 0 a to the third, 0 a squared, 0 a to the first, and then you have your 16. So it's got to go in descending order. So this would have been the a to the thirds, the a squareds, the a to the firsts, and so on. Since I'm dividing by a plus 4, that becomes minus 4. And then you go ahead and do your synthetic division. Let's see here. So positive, that's 16. Hold on. Just grabbing my calculator so I don't make a mistake here. So 16 plus 240. So 256. And then we're going to add that to 16, and that would be our remainder. So now we started with an a to the fourth, so this is going to be 1a to the third minus 4a squared, 16a minus 64, plus your remainder over what you were dividing by. All right, so if you could pause the video now and try number 6. Okay, so hopefully you tried this one on your own. I'm going to do it quickly here. So we do need those same 3 placeholders for this one. Okay, we started with x to the fourth, so this is going to be 1x to the third, 2x squared plus 4x plus 8, and we don't have a remainder. Okay, on the back page now is the remainder theorem. So with the remainder theorem, you don't need to do the full division. All you need to do is, and it says it up in the explanation here, if you're dividing by x minus 3, you take the root of 3, and all you do is plug it into the equation. So 3 to the fourth plus 3 to the third. Everywhere you see an x, you plug in a 3. And then you go to your calculator and you type that in. So let me just do that real quick here. You could do it while I'm doing it. Make sure you're using parentheses. And it's 124. I hope I'm doing this very quickly. That's your remainder. What comes out is your remainder. Okay. Let me do one more question down below here, and then I'm going to have you finish these on your own and start the homework. Okay, so in order for, whatever you're dividing by to be considered a factor, then you would get a remainder of 0. So for number 9 here, I would be plugging in 2, right? Because I would take x minus 2 equals 0. I would plug in 2. And whatever comes out is your remainder. Now, if the remainder happens to come out as 0, then we would be able to say that it's a factor, because that means when you're dividing, it goes in evenly, where there's a 0 remainder, and therefore it's a factor. Okay, so hopefully I typed this in correctly. Again, I'm doing this kind of fast. I got a remainder of 14. So now, since the remainder is not 0, I would say no, it is not a factor because the remainder is not 0. Okay. All right. So you can try the rest of these on your own. And tomorrow I will make a video, or at least I'll show you the answer key on the homework ones and the rest of these. All right, guys. Talk to you tomorrow.